Hi, my name is Ben Carey. I'm an electronic musician, composer, based in Sydney. I'm down here at MESS for the next 4 days doing a residency on the amazing Serge 75 Paperface system. I'm also doing a workshop at the end of the week, which is called Secrets of the Serge. I first came to MESS a couple of years ago. At that time, only had my Moog Mother 32 and I was down in Melbourne, heard about this amazing place. Came down here and I booked 2 sessions concurrently, one day after the other, and I dived in pretty deep. I think the first system that I spent time on was the ARP 2600. Was pretty soon after that making kind of R2-D2 sounds, which was great fun. And then I spent a bit of time on this Moog 55. The next day it was pretty much all about the Buchla. And I mean, some of those recordings I have used in compositions and pieces, but really what I really like about coming down here is kind of learning. I generally don't spend time on a system that I know. I want to learn something from the system, and I think each system kind of tells you certain things about their history, but also teaches you things about your own practice. So that's kind of why I come down here and spend a bit of time on systems, because I find it really teaches you stuff about what you're working with in your own practice. Probably this is my maybe 5th or 6th time that I've been at MESS, but definitely the most kind of extended this time. Yeah, it's an amazing place. Yeah. So I started my residency here at MESS today. Got in at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I've been sitting at the Serge system pretty much all day. And so my process has been, because this is the second time that I've spent time on the system, it's more really kind of finding areas and spaces within the Serge to kind of record out and then make pieces later on. The first time I spent time with it was really just kind of learning. So my process has been, I've probably made 3 or 4 different patches. One really based on feedback, kind of working with interesting kind of feedback with a wave shaper module, which has been a lot of fun. And then a couple just working with kind of intricate feedback within filters and getting kind of really long sustained drones and things like that. Things that could be interesting as a bed in a composition. So yeah, that's what the process has been. I've got 3 more days here, so there's plenty of time to get more material, but it's really just been trying to explore, and every time I make a recording I'll listen back and find ways that maybe that might work with the material I've made before. So kind of making little compositional notes about how I might construct a piece from what I've created, but also just free play as well, just having fun with this amazing system. So yeah. Serge, from what I understand, it was something that kind of came after the Buchla systems of the 1960s. I mean, the Serge systems, this Paperface system, is one of the kind of original systems from the 73 to 75 period. One thing in particular that I find really interesting about the Serge is what he called patch programmability, and that is that you've got all these modules, but they're really broken down to their elemental components. So something that might be used as an envelope can also be used as an oscillator. Something that's used as a filter can also be used as some kind of oscillator or another function. So that's what really kind of drew me to it, and spending a bit of time with this kind of historical piece of equipment, it's actually teaching me a lot about my current system and the way that I work with synthesizers. So yeah, it's kind of like deep diving into a past way of working, but it's also informing a current practice, which is really quite amazing. Yeah. But on Sunday I'm going to give it's called Secrets of the Serge, but it's a kind of a primer in working with a Serge system, and particularly this amazing Serge Paperface. So I'll do a little performance, do a kind of patch breakdown of what I've made, and then talk through some of the kind of interesting and pretty unique things about this particular system. I've been teaching electronic music for a while. I teach composition and electronic music and music technology at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. I find in terms of teaching, in one particular class I bring in a modular synth or the synth that we've got at work, and I like to show them basic synthesis concepts using something hardware, because I mean I teach DAWs. I've taught everything from Cubase to Pro Tools to Logic to Ableton. And going through those concepts using those tools is great, because there's some fantastic tools, but I think it's really nice to kind of go back to basics and to plug in an analog oscillator and say, this is what it sounds like. Look at it on the oscilloscope and really kind of get back to the core of how we make sound using synthesis. This year's been pretty busy. I mean, it seems to be at the moment, kind of September, October, everything's happening all at once. I mean, so this year I wrote a composition for a piano player, which was for piano, live electronics and live visuals. Been working a bit with generative visuals, kind of writing my own code for that. So I had a tour earlier this year in Australia with that project. And then had a couple of other projects on the boil. I have an album coming out, it's on the 25th of October, that's called Antimatter. So that's with Hospital Hill, so that's all Eurorack modular stuff. There's three tracks, one extended and two kind of shorter tracks, all dealing with kind of generative and also feedback-based work. So that's been a project that's been on the boil for a while. I've also got a duo with a vocalist, an improvising vocalist, fantastic vocalist called Sonia Hollowell. Our duo is called Some Conduit. And so we did a gig earlier this year and we've got another one coming up for Liveworks Festival in October. And yeah, just bits and bobs of gigs around the place, solo stuff. Did a gig the other day where I worked with a reel-to-reel tape loop for the first time. So always kind of experimenting and trying new things. Yeah.